Welcome back. Thank you ever so much for joining me again. When you come in, get yourself comfortable. I'm going to show you a couple of things that I think you'll enjoy, and if you're like me, a bit of a NES collector, then you will love what we've got first of all. So number one, I've got an NES, and this is the original NES that came out way back in the day. So I did pick that up cheap. I mean, I've got tons of these, but I picked this up cheap, so I thought I'd just show you. But what's even cooler is the NES Advantage. Now this came out in 1987, and this was kind of bringing a bit of the arcade back into people's homes. It's a very sturdy, well-made unit, and the cool thing about it, it's got 8-direction precision to it. It's got 2 turbo buttons, so you can adjust the turbo or the amount of sort of auto fire. And what's really cool is you've got 2 control ports, so you can plug that into the 1-player and into the 2-player. And with this little button here, you can switch between the 2, so you can go 1, 2. This is really well made. You've got the select, you've got the start, and you've got the slow button. Now the slow button, although it says it's slow, what it essentially does, it pauses the game, so it gives the effect that it's slowly moving in increments, but it's just a pause button. So it was the best that they could come up with at the time, but it actually works quite well. I'm pretty impressed with it. And similarly to the actual NES controller, so if you look at the original NES controller, just find one here. If you look at the actual style of it, the colour scheme, the design, the way everything sort of fits together, this mimics it very well. I mean, it's the buttons are just incredibly well made. They don't stick, because some of the problem with some of the other third-party peripherals is that some of the buttons stuck and they weren't as accurate with the joysticks and things like that. But because this was actually made by Nintendo, you've got all that sort of knowledge, or they've got better knowledge about their hardware and software than any other third party is ever going to have. So they made a unit that was very sizable. You know, it's very heavy. It's got 4 rubber feet at the bottom, so it'd be perfect on a coffee table, on a normal table. It won't slip, and you can just tell there's a lot of great design in there and a really cool little peripheral. My favourite NES peripheral is that. So that's the NES stuff. And moving on to the Super Nintendo. This was a cheap unit that I picked up. Again, just a very bog standard European Super Nintendo. But with that is another cool little peripheral. Now this is the Nintendo Score Master. Now there were other units that look similar to this, known as the NES Advantage. So taking a name from the original NES Advantage. It's actually made by Nintendo, so this is a first party peripheral. It's got all the buttons for things like slow, you've got auto fire, or from left to X to right to Y, B, A, start select of course, and let's just compare them. So you've obviously got the colour scheme, but if you look at where the buttons are placed, and when you actually place your fingers in these positions, it's very comfortable, very intuitive. The shoulder buttons on the actual controller are along the top there, and let me just show you. So if I just place my fingers on the Score Master here, I'm just going to put my palm quite comfortably over where it says Score Master. You can use your index finger for the left, you've got your middle finger for the X, and you've got your right finger, your forefinger along for the right button, the X, the B and the A. It's very comfortable in your hand. It's perfectly made. You could actually say it's perfectly made for your hand, and it can sit on any coffee table. It's got a good weight to it. You see, this is similar to the NES Advantage. It's got 4 rubber feet, so it won't slip, and it's got a good size and weight to it. So again, another peripheral that's brilliant and definitely worth picking up if you get the opportunity. Now I got both of these peripherals for about £15. I had a little bit of a shopping around to do, and you know, the eBay prices, as you know, don't really suit me, so I always shop around to see what I can get at the very cheapest prices I can get them for, because at the end of the day, these are things that I want. Why pay more than I need to? And I never owned any of these when I was a kid. So when I was 8, the NES, that was my first home console, and the NES Advantage, I didn't sort of come across it because I didn't know anyone that had one, but when I saw one, you know, many years ago, they were really expensive, and again they're climbing in price, so I snapped these up while I could, and I'm very happy with it. So if you're like me and you're looking to sort of mimic what you really enjoy about the arcades with the arcade sticks and the buttons and things, then picking up one of these for your SNES or your NES, you cannot go wrong. They're both very weighty. Again, these are first party and actually made by Nintendo. And the NES Advantage is the best peripheral I've ever used on my NES. It's just brilliant. The controls are very robust, the buttons, I mean, just look how cool it looks. But it works just as well as it looks. It's a fantastic piece of engineering. I really would recommend that. And likewise the Scoremaster. Now if you come across the SNES Advantage, Super Nintendo Advantage, which is made by ACware, is not bad. I mean, it looks quite good. There's a few more buttons on there as well, but some of the buttons actually stick. Because it's not made by Nintendo, obviously it was built to sort of be in line with the SNES, but this is actually built by Nintendo, the people that make their hardware and make their consoles, so they would have a better grasp of the engineering and how the precision of the joystick and the buttons all works. And this is just fantastic, so definitely worth, you know, if you're thinking about it, it's definitely worth the money. So we'll be doing some more videos like this, and I've got some NES peripherals and some NES game pickups in some more videos coming up, so stay tuned guys.